Hey runners, welcome to Pilates Express. My name is Ashley. I'll be guiding you through this 20 to 25 minute full body, low impact workout taking place solely on our mat. All you'll need is a mat, towel, carpeted surface, whatever you have at home. We'll start warming up here in a seated position. You can stay crisscross applesauce or extend those legs out in front if we don't quite have that hip flexibility. So go ahead, sit up nice and tall with me. Shoulders relaxed. We're gonna start head to toe. Draw some neck circles on the ceiling with the crown of that head. Remember to breathe throughout our movements. Keep those shoulders relaxed away from the ears. Go ahead, complete that circle. Lift the head up nice and tall and switch the other way. Just remember, we're still warming up. Listen to that neck. Upper body, those shoulders. If you need to draw smaller circles, that's perfectly fine. One more breath, finish that circle, and lift the head up nice and tall. Same thing with the shoulders. We're gonna come up by the ears, back behind us, and then deep into the sockets. Imagine we're drawing a circle with those shoulders. And finish. Once we scoop down to the front, we're gonna roll back up, switch directions. One more breath. Go ahead, finish that roll and drop those shoulders deep in the sockets for me. Again, make sure that chest is lifted, lightly squeezing the belly button to the spine. Sweep the hands up. Give me spirit fingers if you want, and lower down, brush your mat or carpet. Really lift the chest. Feel ourselves lifting up, lengthening through our torso, up through the arms. And of course, always remember that breath. Inhale up. I want you to hold here. Drop that right hand to the mat. Reach over, lateral flexion. Hold for one inhale and exhale. And then we'll switch over to the other side. And you guide the pace the entire time, however long your breath is. That's how long you're gonna hold. Reach over hand, push that hip into the mat. We're gonna do one more time each side. Come on up to the right, and then one last time to the left. Come on up one last time with me. Spirit fingers again, and then go ahead, lower those hands to our sides. I want y'all to go ahead, tent one knee up, and just do a light twist to the right. Come back to the center. Do that about 4 times. Warming up our back, our obliques, our lats. Before we go into our first ab series, come back to the center. Bring that knee up. Just a light twist, again, keeping that chest lifted. Using the hand on the knee to get a deeper twist if we'd like. Just 2 more. And come back to the center. However we're seated, we're gonna do one last thing before we move onto all fours, and that's to warm up our wrists. What most people would like to do, it's most comfortable, is to roll the wrists out, just make circles, switching directions every few rolls. If you've really got good wrist and arm flexibility, you can come into prayer hands and then rotate to reverse prayer, pressing those pinkies into the sternum. So start with the thumbs to the chest and pinkies to the sternum, elbows wide, all 10 fingers are touching. And of course, remember to breathe. Do a few rolls and rotations of your own choice, whether it's prayer or wrist rotations. And then from here, we're gonna rotate onto our mat into all fours for our first series of core work. So here in tabletop, you wanna make sure the wrist is under the shoulders, knees are under the hips. We're again bracing that belly button to the spine. Look at the top of our mat so we have neutral neck alignment. And let's go ahead, as we inhale, we're gonna tuck the chin Push the shoulder blades to the sky for our cat. And then as we exhale, lift that head, exaggerate the low back curve for cow. A few more times. And really just feeling the bones, the vertebrae of our back moving like a wave, one at a time as we transition. One last little move in our warm up. Give me one more cat, one more cow. And then go ahead and meet in tabletop. Double check that alignment before we move into our first move. So for our spinal balance, which is what we're gonna start off our ab series with, you can begin just to kind of get the hang of it by lifting one leg at a time, pushing back through the heel, toes are flexed towards the mat, and then lower down, switch sides. And we wanna make sure that we're keeping that hip level. We're not shifting up to overcompensate. We're really bracing that core and using that to keep us stable as we move onto just balancing on one leg. And now from here, for more of a challenge, we add that opposite arm in our spinal balance. If it helps, inhale up, exhale, lower down. Push through that heel, thumb to the sky, tiny bend in the elbows, flat back. Give me one more on each side after this. Once we've lowered down, we're gonna go to that opposite side. So whichever arm and leg we just lowered down, we're gonna switch to the opposite. You can hold here in an extended spinal balance, but if you like more of a challenge, you can go into windshield wipers, which is we're bringing the heel and the hand away from our body and then back in. Remember to breathe. As long as we're breathing and we're smiling, we're doing that most challenging version and we're crushing it. Remember, we can always come back and hold in that spinal balance, catch our breath, and come back to windshield wipers if we need a moment. Give me two more. Come back to the center, slowly lower down back to that tabletop. Always move slowly. Try and have as much control as you can. We're gonna switch sides. Get set up in spinal balance. You can hold here, and again, the option to move into windshield wipers. Keep the foot flexed, toes pointing towards that mat, tiny bend in the elbow. That top of the supporting leg, the top of the foot is pressed into the mat. Give me two more. Remember to breathe, come back to center, slowly lower down to tabletop. Very good. We're not quite done here in all fours. Let's go ahead and start with the right leg. So we're gonna lift that leg out like we did for our balance, except this time, let's go ahead, bend the knee and flex the foot towards the ceiling. It's like you're trying to kick your foot into the ceiling, nice and flat. So this is what we call a donkey kick. What we're gonna do is kick up and then lower down to the mat. So again, we wanna keep that hip from shifting up too much. We're keeping them stacked. Donkey kick up, lower the knee down. If you like to add a little bit more of a challenge, you can add a little bit of a crunch in by curling that knee into the chest, pushing the top of the back towards the sky like we did for our cat-cow. Breathe through that shakiness we start to feel because we're really challenging our muscles by maintaining that form. Give me one more kick to the sky and then knee to chest or lower down to the mat. So get reset up, make sure we're nice and balanced. Knees under hips again. We'll do the same thing for the left leg. Foot to sky, and then knee to the mat or knee to chest. Foot flexed, hips level. You can switch it up at any point if you need to. Give me 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower back to our tabletop. Last thing, we just did a little bit of glutes right there. Now we're gonna do our outer thigh and our IT band. And we're just gonna lift that knee up, slightly hover it. This is a very tiny movement. You can almost like barely see my knee hovering. I'm gonna bring that knee out wide and then come back to that hovered position. If you need to lower it down all the way, that's perfectly fine. This is called fire hydrant. And we're just seeing how high we can lift our knee up. If you can get it parallel with the hip, and you've got very flexible legs and hips. Good job. Keep breathing. We're almost done. We're gonna transition onto the mat, I promise. You'll get a little break for your arms. Give me 3 more. Keep that core braced to the spine. Lower down if you need to. 2, last 1, and down. Same thing on the other side. We always got to keep it even. So come on out and lower back down. And if one hip is a little tighter, you can't quite lift that knee up as high, that's perfectly normal. We all have little imbalances here and there. So if you need to adjust how high we lift that hip, how slow or quick we lift into the fire hydrant, just know that's perfectly fine. Let's do 4, 3, 2, last one, slow control up, lower down, good job. We're done with tabletop. If you need to real quick, shake the arms out, roll the shoulders, the wrists. We won't be using the arms for a while, but we're gonna come back to that, don't worry. So go ahead and shift onto our mat to lay down our back however's comfortable. We're gonna make sure the knees are bent, feet are firmly planted onto our mat. Go ahead, bring the elbows wide, lace those fingers behind the ears. And nice and simple, all we're gonna do is start off with some crunches. So we're lifting the shoulder blades off the mat, leading up with the chest and then lowering down. Keep the elbows wide so we avoid pulling on that neck. And if it helps, a sign, an inhale, exhale to a movement. I like to inhale up, exhale down. From here, if you would like more of a challenge, you can use the arms for some momentum. Pull yourself up into a full sit-up, and then slowly lower all the way back down. It's about pacing yourself, knowing what your endurance is. If you do 3 of these and you want to go back to crunches, just know that's perfectly fine. Slowly lower down. Give me 1 more full sit-up, 5 more crunches, and lower down for a second. Good job, everybody. Okay, so from here, pull yourself up like you're gonna do a full sit-up, but go ahead and lean back about 45 degrees, chest is lifted, belly button squeeze to the spine, and we're gonna do our Russian twists. We can keep the feet down or hover them up, crossing helps. We're gonna do opposite pinky to opposite hip, rotate the chest, turn side to side, touch that hip, switch sides. And you can go faster, you can go slower if you want. You can tap the heels down, but just keep that chest, that torso at that angle, 45 degrees. We're gonna stay here a little bit longer. The heart rate up. Give me 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, relax, lower those feet down. You can go ahead, grab the knees if you need a little bit of a breath. Go ahead, watch my change. We're doing one more thing up here, then we're lowering back down to the mat. We're doing a hold. If you'd like, you can have the knees bent, hands behind them. For our boat pose, if you're really feeling adventurous, you want to balance, extend the legs, release, and we're in a V-sit. Point those toes, keep that chest lifted. Just remember to breathe. If you're smiling, you're crushing it. Elbows in, chest up, breathe. If you haven't already, go ahead, try a V-sit with me. Just 5 seconds, I promise. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Hold that V-sit or come back to boat, whatever you prefer. We're almost there, guys. Give me 4, 3, 2, 2, 2. Okay, 1. All right. Lower the feet. Find your way down to your mat again. So this one last little series we're gonna do for our abs. We're gonna take the hands and kind of lift them up, lift the legs up so we can lower the booty onto the outside of the hands. It'll kind of be resting on the wrists and the thumbs. And what we're gonna do here is bring the feet up to 90 degrees as close as we can, and then slowly lower down. As low as we can bring those heels, the lower you bring them, the more challenging it is, and then come on back up. Point the toes, squeeze that belly button to the spine. Very simple leg lifts, and what we can do here, if we want more of a challenge, is when we come up, you can add a reverse crunch. So you'll lower down, and as you come up, use that momentum to lift the low back off and do like a little kick almost towards the sky. So again, you have that option. Reverse crunch at the top, or just lift up to the top and lower. Give me 3 more leg lifts. We're almost done. Two, last one. Lift on up and go ahead, bend the knees, lower the feet down, get set up. Okay, last thing. Well, last thing of this little ab series. So again, make sure the knees are bent, feet are planted. We're gonna do something called the Pilates 100. And the whole point is we're gonna pump our arms 100 times, 5 inhales, or five pumps per inhale, 5 pumps per exhale. So you can stay here with the chest and the shoulders resting on the mat, or you can lift up and hover the chest. This is more challenging. Whichever one you prefer, we're gonna go in 3, 2, 1. So we're gonna pump, inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Spread those fingertips. Inhale and exhale. If you need to lower down at any point, just keep bracing that belly button to the spine. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe. Give me 3 more. So inhale. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 1. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more. Exhale. And lower those arms. Lower the chest. How was that? That was fun, right? Okay, well then, great news. We're gonna do it again, but we're gonna make it a little bit more challenging. So same thing, we'll be laying down. The only difference is we're gonna either bring the knees up at a 45-degree angle, toes are pointed. This will just be a little bit more challenging even if our chest is lowered down. And then for the more advanced version, go ahead, extend those legs to 45 and lift the chest. You guys ready? Go ahead, pick your variation. We're gonna get started in 3, 2, and 1. So inhale, exhale. Remember, you always have those options to bring the knees in or lower the chest down. There's a lot of things you can do. Keep breathing. Keep squeezing that belly button to the spine. Push that low back into the mat. Give me 4, 3, 2, last one. And lower on down, catch your breath. If you need to, now's a great time to grab a sip of water. This is the halfway point, but we're gonna meet back here for our bridge series. Once you do that, same position, knees bent, torso on the ground. So we have one last activity in our little Express Pilates class, and that's our bridge series. The best series, I saved it for the last. So we wanna make sure our heels are under our knees. Wherever you wanna have your hands, I like to lay them by my sides. You can put them on your chest, make a little pillow, whichever you prefer. But we're gonna start by lifting up from the base of the spine, scooping the hips up as high as we can go. Glutes are squeezed, hips to the sky, and lower on down. So lift on up, lower on down. One more time, up and down, and then now just go at your own pace. I like to go up a little quicker and lower on down. Up, squeeze, down, lower. Keep all parts of the feet pressed into the mat. We're gonna do 3, 2, last one, hold at the top, just hold. Think about the snack you're gonna have after this. Think about all the good you're doing by taking time out of your day to take care of yourself doing Pilates at home from the safety of your house. Okay, here, still holding at the top. You have the option to either alternating heel lift for those calves or lift at the same time lower, whichever you prefer. Lift on up, lower. Keep the glutes squeezed, hips to the sky. Right and left, or both at the same time. Give me 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower on down real quick. I have the best news, we're halfway there. But we're gonna do the same thing again at first. Again, make sure those heels are under the knees. Lift up slow, lower on down. Roll up from the base to the shoulder blades. Now shoulder blades down. Go at your own pace. Up, down, down. Remember to breathe. Whatever you want to do with those hands, squeeze the glutes, hips to the sky. Give me 4, 3, 2, and 1 at the top. Last crazy thing I'm going to ask you to do. So let's start with the right leg. With your hips as high as you can go, go ahead, extend that right leg, point the toe out. Breathe. We're all gonna do the same thing together. We're gonna end on the same note together. Point the toe, keep the hips level, avoid shifting up. That left leg should be quaking, squeeze the glute. 3, 2, 1. Lower down, nice and slow. Make sure we're set up. We got those hips high, same thing on the left. Point the toe. Breathe. You're pointing that toe. Legs are lined up. The left thigh should be parallel with the right thigh. 3, 2, and 1. Let's go ahead, slowly lower down onto our mat. We are done. We're gonna cool down from this point on. While we're here on our back, Take a few breaths to yourselves. Thank yourself for powering through it with me. And then we're just gonna lightly sway the knees side to side at first. Introduce a little bit of a back twist. If you want, you can deepen the knees to each side. And then from here, we're gonna really twist and stretch through the low back, up through the middle and to the top, because our poor back supported us through all the crazy and fun things I threw at you guys. So go ahead, bring the knees to the center, extend the right leg, left to the chest. And with that right hand, you're gonna push that left knee over to the side and then reach away with you with the left hand. Hi everybody, hey runners, thanks for coming to my little Express Pilates class. I hope you had a good time. And of course, remember to breathe. Hold for one more inhale and exhale. Come back to the center, switch sides, push over, reach away with the right hand as we push the right knee across our body. One more inhale and exhale. Come back to the center. While we've got the right knee here, let's go ahead, bring the fingers laced on top of it so we can bring it in and towards our shoulder for a little bit of a hip flexor stretch. Relax the shoulders, the back into the mat. Point the toes. After our next exhale, go ahead, switch, same thing. Bring this knee in towards the shoulder as we hug it. On our next exhale, go ahead, bring that knee back to the center. You're gonna lace the fingers behind it, and this is how we're gonna pull ourselves up into a seated position. So as we push through the heel and extend the knee, it'll pull us up so we're seated nice and tall. Once we're in our seated position, go ahead, lace our fingers in front of us. Go ahead, flip the palms to face away from you. And you're gonna tuck the chin and curve that back like we did in our cat and cow for a little bit of a back expanding stretch, pulling the shoulder blades away from each other. Go ahead, take one more inhale and exhale. Go ahead, release, sweep on up into our full sun. Then we're gonna do a deeper version of that lateral flexion. Again, push that hip into the mat. We're lengthening from our hip through the left side of our body, up to that left arm and shoulder. Do you ever just forget left and right? I do it all the time. Hold for one more breath. And then we're gonna tip over like a teapot to the other side. Wiggle the fingers if we get those little tinglies up through that top arm. Last breath. And then go ahead, release, sit up tall. One last time together, roll the shoulders backwards and forwards. Thank them for supporting us through our tabletop series. Go ahead, relax. Neck circles, whichever way. And then switch directions. And then one last thing for us all to do together, big inhale up, use some spirit fingers, and then when we exhale, come to the front, give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you guys so much for coming to Pilates Express. Again, my name's Ashley. Be sure to check out our social media, our group exercise schedule online. Look for more classes offered here in video format as well as in person. But other than that, thank you guys so much for coming, and go runners.